Hey guys, Fox here, and today we're going to be talking about Osirus Mitchell officially signing to the NFL with the Green Bay Packers. You might know him as a champion with the Birmingham Stallions, and he is now joining Sal Cannella as the second player to go to Green Bay. As for his stats, he pretty much was on training camp for like 1 year in the NFL, but overall he was the first overall pick in the 15th round of the draft, which is the third wide receiver round. And he, as in terms of his stats, he had a couple pretty good ones. 15th in the league in receiving yards at 333. He also did have 3 touchdowns, which, as you know, was tied for third most, but that was with a lot of other players. He was overall pretty solid. He only had 23 receptions, yet was able to get that many yards. As for the Packers depth chart and receiver, it is pretty famous right now that everyone is talking about how Aaron Rodgers is throwing to a bunch of scrubs, as people like to say. Are they scrubs? Halfway, not fully. The starters are Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, and Sammy Watkins. Backups are Randall Cobb, Amari Rodgers, Romeo Dubes. Then third string is Juwan Winfrey, Malik Taylor, and Samori Torre. And then fourth string is Rico Gafford, Danny Davis, and Osirus Mitchell himself. As for the fourth stringers and third stringers, the third stringers being on the left and fourth on the right, Danny Davis and Samori Torre are pretty much two guys that are pretty much undrafted free agents. As I like the joke that, a 6th or 7th round pick is a glorified undrafted free agent. As for the other players, the other fourth stringer, Rico Gafford, has played in a couple games during his career back in with the Raiders. He really hasn't done anything. He's caught one pass, but he did catch it for a touchdown, or two of his passes. So he does have that. He does have a touchdown reception to his name, for whatever that's worth. And then as for Malik Taylor, he's been with Green Bay his pretty much whole career as an undrafted guy. He hasn't really played that much either. And Juwan Winfrey, he's been with Denver and Green Bay and kind of the same thing. So none of these guys have really done anything, so Osirus could definitely get ahead of them. As for the second stringers, Randall Cobb is pretty much the guy that Aaron Rodgers clearly does want on the roster and playing. He's been with Green Bay all of his career except with Dallas and Houston 1 year each. He's overall consistently been that solid, second, third receiver, depending on what year it is. Last couple of years, he hasn't had the same production he did with Dallas, but he's still getting over 300 yards and isn't even a starter, so at least there's that. Then Romeo Dubes is another undrafted free agent rookie, so you could always get ahead of him. Amari Rodgers was a third-round pick back in 2021. He started one game, played in all 16. He only had, though, 45 receiving yards, so he's not really the best second string. So once you get to the second string, you have one guy that's a solid second string and then a bunch of other As for the starters, you have the second-round pick, Christian Watson. He was a very solid receiver. That it was pretty funny that they didn't pick anyone in the first round, but some people think he can be really good as a main target. Sammy Watkins was a fourth overall pick a long time ago. He has never really lived up to that hype. He's never even been a Pro Bowler. He's had 1,000 yards once. And more importantly, the last 3 years, the best he had was 673 back with Kansas City in 19. But since then, his numbers have been kind of going down a bit overall. His touchdowns have literally been going down one by one. So, kind of an okay guy, but he's more or less like that idea of he should have been really good and instead is just decent. Allen Lazard is pretty much their de facto number one, or Watson. Allen Lazard's been there 4 years as an undrafted free agent, but he's actually had his stats nearly improve every year. He didn't technically improve from the second to third season, but that third season, even though he started more games, he didn't actually play in all of them. So his numbers would have been much better if he played a whole year. And then last year was his best year at 500 receiving yards. So, yeah. As for Osirus, I think Osirus could definitely overtake. If he is able to show up in training camp, make the roster, the sky's the limit for him. I mean, this receiving core is pretty weak. I mean, the jokes are pretty true. The Packers receiving core is very weak. I could definitely see him being a second string when all things are said and done, but we'll find out. This has been Fox. If you enjoy this content, want to be notified as soon as I upload any videos. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, and as always, have a great night.